got a bit of shit off some guy. Done a post last night about writing your specification, knowing what your money's buying you. And during the video at some point, I ain't watched it back, but apparently I said that's the that's the client's job. And I got a bit of shit for it, which is okay, which is what I want to hear your thoughts on today. So your specification, the things that you want to buy for your project, is on you as the client. That is, I'm talking to clients now. It's not your builder's job to start telling you what you want on that project. It's not your builder's job. The analogy I used last night was talking about going on holiday. When you go on holiday, you pick your own destination, you pick your own hotel, you're the one doing the buying. Pick your own food, board. Well, they're having towels in the hotel. I got some shit for that as well. But the point I'm making here is there is this preconceived misconception, that's the biggest word I've used today, preconceived misconception that it's the builder's responsibility to provide a specification. Now, your builder is there obviously to help and advise. Of course they will be. If there's a product query or a better way of doing something, then yes. But it is not their job to start telling you what you want to buy. You're the one spending the money. You're the one in control of the purse strings, as it were. The one with the budget, not the builder. That's you. That's on you, the client. So you must know and understand what it is that you're buying, and you must know and understand what it is that is included in that rate, and that comes from your spec. Comes from your, we'll call it a shopping list. Because if you don't have control of that, you don't have control of the spend. And if you don't have control of the spend, you're going to go over budget. This is a massive thing. That is a little bit like doing your shopping at Tesco, filling the trolley up, getting to the counter and blaming the cashier for you spending too much money. You're the one putting the goods in the basket. You're the one in control of the purse strings, of the budget. So you're the one responsible for managing it, and we manage that by using and executing a specification. Now, I get it that sometimes clients don't actually know what that is, or what this should include, or what is important to specify. So yes, get that advice, get that steer, get that information, that feedback, that support, if required. You might be talking about a boiler install, for example. Then yes, go to the heating engineer and discuss what's best for you and your needs in terms of warranty, product, cost, lead times, maybe lead time, all them things. So yes, get advice, but you are ultimately responsible for the spec, the things that you are buying. The elemental pieces of work within that project at large are the things that you buy, the things that you're buying. So you must get clear and know and understand what it is that your money is buying for you. Priced up a job last night. Domestic customer. Really nice house, really nice property. She's got us round to price up this work. Now, when I price up work, I don't dress like a builder, if I'm being honest. I have half decent gear on, as in a polo shirt and some smart jeans. That's not relevant, really. Now, I'm pricing up this work, and the guy says to me, mate, just before we get into this, I need you to know that my missus doesn't want you using our toilet. Okay. I was curious, so I asked why. And he said to me, I don't want builders trapping in and out my house. Which again, I get. Totally. Muddy boots, shitty handprints up walls, I get all that totally. But here's the fucking thing that the cheeky fucker said to me. I said, mate, we're going to have to put a portaloo on the job then. We'll have to stick a portaloo on the job, a thunderbox. And they come in at about 30, 35 quid a week, depending on where I get it from. And he looked at me like I'd just shit in his hand. Well, what are you telling me that for? I said, well, it's going to be on the quote, mate, that's all, so just make you aware of it. If we can't use your bog, we need to hire one in. Well, I'm not fucking paying for that. What do you mean you're not paying for that? So mate, if you're not providing facilities, I've got to bring them in. And if I've got to bring them in, that's a cost to me as a business. So it will be on the quote. Well, I'm not doing that. So what do you propose then, mate? And he went, well, you're builders, aren't you? Can't you get in the back of your van and have a piss? What the actual fuck? It's not fucking 1980. I'm not in the military anymore. I'm not going to dig a hole in the garden and shit in it like a fucking dog. And he says, well, can't you go to Tesco? No, I fucking can't. I'm going to put a fucking toilet on the house. And if you want us to do the work, you'll be charged for it. You have a moral and legal obligation to provide basic facilities on projects. It's not too much to ask. It was a 6-week job. 30 quid a week, 180 quid max. And this guy was chinning at it, asking me to piss in my van or go to Tesco's if I needed a shit. Fuck you, is what I say to you. So we won't be working for this particular guy. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts of builders? Are the dogs? Should they be shitting and pissing in the vans? Or should they be going to Tesco? Some people say I'm a pussy and being a bit pretentious and a bit precious. That I should be getting in my van to do that. Fuck that. Builders and trades, you are not second-class citizens shitting in a hole in a garden like a dog. So I was raging. I was raging when he said this. I was that mad, I didn't even respond. I kind of just, they do the old, okay, mate. And I walked off and I thought, so for you this morning, I want to talk about when you should be paying your trades, when you should be paying your builders, so you can avoid that uncomfortable conversation that's in the title. Where's my fucking money? I've been there. I've been in the receiving end, and I've also been on the asking end. And neither place is a nice place to be. So when it comes to paying for building work, I'd love to know, again, in the comments, in the chat box, whatever we're calling it, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you would do. So, firstly, I want to make this point. There's no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong when you should pay your trades and builders on them projects. It is what it is, and it's going to be project dependent. And what I mean by that is you can't blanket the whole industry with a way of paying. Let's say you was having a room plastered, for example, if that's all you was going to get done. I think it's fair and reasonable to pay after the work's been complete. There's nothing to buy in advance other than gear that could be took back. But you might want to pay a small deposit to secure time in a guy's diary, which was the message I was talking about the other day. But when it comes to a larger project, maybe an extension, full house refurbishment, new build, whatever that is, you need to agree a payment plan, payment terms, a schedule of payments. And whatever is agreed, that's what needs to be stuck to. To avoid that, where's my fucking money? To avoid that call, to not have to make that call or receive it. So how do you structure these payments? I would say, I'm going to tell you what I do. I'd love to hear from you and what you do, but I'll tell you what I do in my construction company. We take a deposit. Again, it's proportionate and relative to the overall project value. So the project revenue. So let's say, I'm going to give you a really easy example. Let's say that the project is 25 grand. 25k for a project. I'm going to take 2.5k deposit. And I do that to secure the period in my diary and to stack up all the prerequisites required of me running that project. Get my safety shit in order, book the time in my diary, all the stuff that is required of me as a construction business owner to start a project. Now, I'm then going to agree a payment plan relative to progress. So let's say it's a 4-week project. Forgive me if these numbers don't add up, but you get the gist. It's a 4-week project, right? We've already took 2.5 off the 25, so there's 22.5 left in revenue to deliver. That payment plan may well be relative to time or progress. If it's time, I might be looking for 22 divided by 4, fuck knows, it's about, what, 5? I might be looking for 5 a week and then some change on completion. If it's relative to progress, I'm going to agree stages in that project. For me, the logical ones, let's say a full house refurb, might be after first fix is complete, after plastering, and then on completion. So they would be the 3-stage payments. I should have made it easy for numbers, shouldn't I? But a third of that gross revenue, minus the deposit, of course. So that's what I would do. That's how I would set out those payment terms, that payment plan. Again, as I said right at the beginning, there is no right or wrong here. It's what suits you, what suits the specific project, and what suits your appetite for risk in terms of what are you prepared to do. Now, the big thing here that is common to all of it, the big thing that you must take away from this and all your future projects, be you the builder or client, you've got to do what you said you would do and meet everybody's expectation. If you said you was going to pay at the end of week 1, 2, 3 and 4, then that's what you do, assuming everything's been done properly and to your satisfaction. If you agreed stage payments where you're going to say, I want to pay a bit after first fix, a bit after plastering, a bit on completion, then do that. Again, assuming that everything's gone to your satisfaction. Now, people start falling out when expectations aren't met. People start falling out when you deviate from what you agreed, what you said you would do. So this plan that you put in place, be it time or be it progress, morning Pavel, be it whichever of those things it is, you've got to do what you said you would do. Again, assuming that you're happy with everything. So how do we find out whether we are happy with everything? So each of those milestones, we'll call them, could be again relative to time or progress. Each of those milestones, you as clients and builders also, you have a responsibility for this, is to ensure you're happy up to that point with the quality and agreeing. And when I say quality, I don't just mean it's a nice smooth finish. We're talking about as things being put in, what was agreed to be put in. Is the right kitchen being installed? Is the right socket fronts being installed? Are all sockets in the right place? These are quality items. So we're confirming that you've put in what you said you would put in, and it's in accordance with your plan and your spec as the client. Or if deviated from, we need to have had instruction to do so or confirmation to do so. Do let me know. Only as good as your word, Charlie. That's assuming we're doing it verbally. I would absolutely get this in writing. So we've got, having it in writing, some people fear this because they think people will run away from it, but having it in writing just gives you an immediate point of reference in the event of discussion, argument or something that may be unclear. So absolutely get it in writing. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from what you think about this and when you think you should be paying. I hear people saying I'm not paying a penny until I'm finished, but you know that's not going to work for. It's not going to work for most builders, particularly sole traders that may be bringing in guys that they got to pay weekly. Some of these guys may not have credit facilities with merchants and having to pay cash up front, etc. So you've got to take cognizance. That's a fucking big word, isn't it? Recognise the level of guy that you're using and what's going to be required for them to keep moving. Because if you stop paying or you don't facilitate what was agreed in terms of payments, then the guys that are working on your behalf on your project are just going to stop because they can't function without money or cash flow. I had a one-to-one call yesterday with a guy wanting to join one of my programs. Join one of my support programs where we support you in managing refurbishment projects effectively, efficiently, compliantly, and most importantly, profitably. He's done Started a monthly group. We have 2 times weekly trainings, etc., etc. That's not what I want to talk about. This guy has come on the phone. I asked him what he wanted from the program. What did he expect as a result of joining the program? And he said he wanted to take his refurbishment business to the next level. I want to take my business to the next level. This applies to all business, but particularly if you're in the property space, particularly refurbishment, you want to take your business to the next level. If that's your sweeping statement, you're going to fail. You're going to fail because when I posed the question back to him, what does next level mean? He had no fucking idea. What do you mean by next level? Well, I just want to earn more money. That's not next level, that's just increasing revenue stroke profit. What do you mean by next level? So I was trying to get it out of him what he wanted to achieve. What do you mean specifically by next level? Well, I want to do this bigger project. Okay, for what purpose? Why do you want the project to be bigger? Well, I want to increase my profits. Does a bigger project mean that you'll increase your profits? Well, yeah. Does it? A bigger project ran more effectively, efficiently and profitably will increase your profit, but not just by doing a bigger project are you going to achieve the thing that you say you want to achieve. I guess the point is, I don't even know what my point is. My point is that when we're setting these goals, to use language like next level, take it up a notch, these buzzwords that fucking training courses use, business coaches use, join me and you'll take your business to the next level. What does it mean? What does that fucking mean? Putting in the work, putting in the effort, the results just become almost a waste product. The result just becomes a byproduct of the effort. Now, if you don't know what next level means, you'll never achieve it. Because how can you know when you've achieved it? Next level, does it mean bigger projects in terms of size? Does it mean bigger projects in terms of number of units you're going to produce? Are we talking about the purchase price, the margins, the ROI, the rental income, staff, more systems? What do we mean by next level? And then when you start putting these questions back and you get answers like, well, I mean all of that. Nah. Not only do we need to know what next level means, we need to know why we want to get to the next level. We need to know why we want to get to that next level. What is it that's creating that drive? What is it in you that wants to take you there? Get a bit far away from construction here. We can't set goals around finance, we can't set goals around money, because we can't be creative about money and finance. It's just a number, right? I want to win £1 million. What for? I want £2 million. What for? Money can only buy you a different experience of life. That's the only thing that it can buy you. If you're setting goals around a number, it's unlikely you're going to achieve it, because you're not getting creative with it. You're not being imaginative with the goal, the thing that the money buys you. Are you wanting that £1 million to buy the bigger house, to buy the bigger car? Not the bigger car, the more expensive car. Boats, watches, yachts, all that shit. If that's what you truly want from life, those things, set goals around those things, not the money, because we can be creative and imaginative about experiencing that different quality of life. Not necessarily better, but different. You are way too expensive. Being a tradesman or builder and heard that. That's not what I'm talking to this morning. I want to talk to clients. Clients that say this back in response to receiving a quote or off a tradesman or a builder. That's way too expensive, mate. Now, I get that there are going to be times when quotes come back and they are too expensive. The point I want to make today is, what are you basing that opinion upon? What are you basing the opinion of that's too expensive upon? This is critical for you to understand. It's either a previous experience, or current expectation. Now, what I see most people do is they get a quote back, and I see this a lot, to be fair, and they share this quote on social media, usually in a Facebook group, something like that. Can somebody check this quote and tell me if it's right? Tell me if this quote's right. First and foremost, that's the fucking wrong place to ask, because you're asking a nation based on their previous experience or expectation, current expectation. Again, based on their geographical area, and again, based on what they did, which could be completely different to what you did. Or you're just going to get them that just want to chuck in their 10 bob, that chuck in a comment, and what will happen is you'll end up more fucking confused than when you ask the first question anyway. The only way to truly compare a quote is get a comparable quote from within your region, from the same type of tradesman and builder. So if we're looking for a full house refurbishment, what are we saying about that full house refurb? Same for an extension. What we're saying about that extension, what type of service am I buying? And are the quotes that you're getting back, are they truly comparable in terms of the size of the company that we're working for or will want to work for us? And also in terms of geography. When we are comparing quotes, you've got to compare them within your region and within the same size of business, but that's not the main thing. The main thing that I see is this. People will get a quote, and helpful builders out there are going to come to do your quoting, your pricing up visit. Might come through a front door, around the back, start taking a look. They might start making recommendations based on their experience and based on their skill set. And them recommendations may well take you away from the thing that you wanted. Inquiry at all, then that change needs to be reflected in all of the other quotes that come back too. Otherwise, again, you're comparing apples with oranges, and the two things will are priced. The two exercises are getting priced up differently. This is all geared around the specification and making sure that it's following throughout the different quotes, so they all mean something and they all got a point of reference. How'd you let it get that far? I got a message yesterday morning off a chap, sent me some pictures. What do you think to this? Sent over a set of drawings and some finished photos of an extension, and said that the builder has not built the extension in accordance with the drawings. Now, the photos that he sent over this extension were finished. Good evening. That you've thrown me now. The photos of the extension were finished, or appeared to be finished, should I say. So, roof's on, windows are in, blah blah blah, downpipes fitted. The photos were only of the outside. So, the purpose of the message that the guy sent over was, this extension has not been built in accordance with the plans, it's the wrong size. So I've kind of gone back to this guy, gone back to this guy and said, how's it go that far? How the fuck does that thing get finished before you say it's the wrong size? Now, this is a big one for you property investors out there, but leave it till the end to what you believe is called the snagging phase. Morning, Graham. I hope you're well, mate, and I hope you have a great week. So property investors and domestic customers as well, but property investors, you're doing this professionally, so you should know better. We don't leave it till the end for snagging as such, and put snagging in air quotes, before we start checking in, because there's a quality assurance process, a quality assurance procedure that you need to go through to make sure you're getting what you paid for as the project progresses. So at setting out, I would be checking that they've set out the right size of extension, not waiting until it's built and then saying it's too small. That's way too late. Now you've got a big problem on your hands, maybe a legal battle. This particular chap had paid for the thing. He paid for the extension and then gone, it's too small. And then said, what can he do about it? That's fucking mental. It's a bit like, I'll think of a quick analogy. It's a bit like, I tell you what it's like going over to Aldi to get your fruit. We all know that Aldi fruit's always a bit fucking questionable, right? We see that it's a bit questionable in the pot. It's a bit mushy, it's a bit soft, but we buy it anyway. Then we put it in the car, in the bags, and maybe put the dog food on top to make it extra mushy. Then we get it home and put it in the fridge. Then in the morning we get it out and eat it and then complain that it's shit. And we knew all along that it wasn't going to be right. Maybe that was a shit analogy, but I'm on the hoof here. I reckon it was good. Anyhow, so your quality assurance procedures that you must have in on your projects, you've got to have them if you're going to deliver a proper project, a profitable project, an effective and efficient one. This is something that we work with inside of our programs. Twice weekly training. I go through stuff like this, what we should be checking when it comes to when we're going to site. And this is not for you to be going to site every day as investors or clients or domestic customers. Builders don't want you on site checking this, pointing at that. But have milestone check-ins, points where you agree. Morning, Andy. Points where you're going to agree that you're going to turn up on site. You're going to get to site and say, I'm going to come on a Friday, is that all right? And we're just going to check everything's ticking along and you're delivering on my expectation in terms of quality, progress and time as well. These things are critical. It's no good waiting until a project's finished and then chinning about something that's wrong, particularly when it comes to something like that. Size of the extension, holy fucking shit. As soon as the pegs are in the ground, they're setting out pegs, you will know whether it's the right size if you have a check. You don't need to wait till the lead flashing's gone on before you say, mate, you built that the wrong size. Can't snag an item like that. I want to talk this morning a bit about emotion and logic. It's a bit far away from what I normally discuss. But for those property investors out there, clients, people looking to get into projects, this is a really key thing. We all know that we shouldn't let emotion take over logic. Morning, Dennis. We all know that we shouldn't let emotion take over logic, and we should always let the numbers do the talking. Now we're looking at a potential deal, a potential project, which we spent a good 2 weeks stacking up to make sure that numbers worked. Yeah, it was a good 2 weeks. And we knew what our top line was. We went a significant margin under that, a significant number under that, and put an offer on the table on Friday to the vendor. Now, when we talk about emotion versus logic and we let that emotion take over, that's what's happened to us yesterday now. It's all well and good people saying it, and people teaching it, people coaching it. I do it myself, I coach it, I teach it. But when it's yourself, it's very different. It's very different to, we approached the deal very logically, very coldly. It was a numbers exercise and that's it. Nothing else came into it. But when it came to the crunch, all the logic goes aside when the agent rings and says, you need to shoot another 25 grand across that offer or you're going to be out of the running. Now, looking at it coldly now, yesterday she rang up and said that and we immediately did it. Okay, so we upped it by 25 grand. When we look back on that, yes, it still stacks up. And yes, the numbers do still work, albeit they're less. We've still spent another 25 grand. She caught me on the hoof, on the hop, and created a bit of FOMO in me by taking the deal off the table if I didn't up my offer by 25 grand. Now, that's okay. I can cope with that because the numbers in the deal and the rest of the project are great. But still, to try and take emotion out of construction, particularly it's going to be when you're going to live there, is a really, really difficult thing to do. It's all right saying it and just sort of, yeah, you shouldn't do that. Yeah, we all know we shouldn't do that. But still, anyhow. So that's what we've done. We've put this deal across the table. We went in at 200,000 and we're now at 225. The numbers on the whole thing are phenomenal, assuming we get the build right. And when I say get the build right, I'm talking numbers now. Again, taking the emotion out of it and looking at it logically. We've got to know that the difference between what we do purchase it for, because that's not been accepted yet, what we do purchase it for and what it's going to be worth at the end, which has been another challenge, trying to find the end value. It's a unique build. Taking the build off that, taking the profit off that and seeing what's left. And hopefully, where we sit with the 25k offer, it still works. And I've said hopefully there a bit tongue-in-cheek, because that's how people normally stack these things up. Now, so what we had to do, this was the process. We had to get a desktop valuation off an independent agent for what this thing was going to be worth when it's complete. We then took off my construction business's profit from the end value. We then used a estimating service, online estimating service, which we've used before and we know they're bang on. Sent over the drawings, sent over the planning permission that the plot was being sold with, and asked him to give us a estimate for that. So the end valuation cost us 450 quid. The build cost estimation cost 420 quid. So we're already getting up for £1,000 now, and we haven't even put an offer in at just this point. And then we've got to look at what the guy's asking for it. And I'm coldly looking at how much is this actually worth. Never mind what he's asking for it. Like I say, it's a unique property. How much is he asking for this thing? Now, he was asking for significantly more than what we offered. But we know that our offer still works given the end value and given the build cost. And those three things are critical. No guessing. No finger in the air. Like I say, it took 2 weeks to look at this thing, 2 weeks to get it all on paper and logically mapped out. So, I don't really know what the message is this morning. I just wanted to share what's been happening to us yesterday. Is the whole emotion versus logic thing, I think, is what I'm talking about. So easy to say don't get emotionally involved and just look at it logically, but how can you remove emotion when you are emotionally involved? More quotes, more confusion. I've seen some terrible advice on social media about how to go about getting quotes from builders or tradesmen. People saying get 3 quotes, get 4 quotes, get 5 quotes, get 10 quotes. I've even seen some of these homeowner groups, people getting 20 and 30 quotes. The more quotes that you get, the more confused you're going to become, and here's why. If your inquiry, the thing that you're asking your builder or trade to do, is unclear, and when I mean unclear, I mean what is presented to them, your quotes will not be comparable. Morning, Andy. Your quotes will never be comparable. Trying to articulate this without a pen is going to be tricky, but I'll try my best. So let's say you get 3 guys round and ask for something loose, like a refurb, morning Graham, or an extension, morning Juan, or even something simple like, can you change all my internal doors? Now, unless you are not specific, that was shit language, unless you are specific, what the builder and trades now have to do is translate your inquiry using their beliefs and assumptions and feelings about you. I'll say that again. So unless you are specific in what it is that you want, in terms of your extension, your refurb, or even the door if you're just swinging doors, they're going to interpret that inquiry using a set of beliefs, opinions, assumptions and feelings that they have about you. I'll give you an example. You ask a joiner to come round to change all the internal doors in your home. That's all the information that you provide. Change all my internal doors. Might be something you do over the phone. What's it going to be for these internal doors? Guy's going to give you a price for those doors if you're pressing for that price based on how he feels about you and what standard that it is. What standard that it is that you're wanting to achieve. as a result of that service. One joiner may price up a 20 quid door and a £5 ironmongery set. Another may charge for a 200 quid door and a 50 quid ironmongery set, times 10. See the difference in the prices now because you weren't specific. Now, yes, there's going to be a time where the joiner comes back and says, what door do you want? What ironmongery do you want? That's going to happen. But whatever that's happening, you're on the merry-go-round, you're on the roundabout, you're going round and round in circles. Now, your project should be run linearly. Is that a word? The project should be run in a linear fashion from A to B to C to D, going through checkpoints. And if you are carrying out that journey properly and efficiently, going from A to B to C to D, you're going to enjoy your project. Whatever you're on the roundabout, on the merry-go-round, is fucking hard work. Give me a price for a door. Oh, what door do you want? Here's a price for a door. Oh, what ironmongery do you want? Here's your ironmongery. And you just do this all the time, and you're not going anywhere. You're just staying on the circle, staying on the roundabout. I said circle there. I'm not from Scunthorpe. That's just the word that they use up here. You're staying on the circle. Fucking said it again. You're staying on the roundabout. So your projects want to be run linearly, going through a set of steps, a series of checks. So the more quotes that you get, you're introducing more and more opinion, feelings, beliefs and assumptions from tradesmen about what it is that you want. And until you get clear on that, get clear on what it is that you want, the quote doesn't truly mean anything. In fact, it doesn't become a quote, it becomes an estimate or a guess. But when it's extra, this came from somebody asked me to talk about this morning on a video from earlier this week, I think it was. When is it extra? What type of things are going to put my price up? This is particularly for property investors, also for homeowners, domestic customers, domestic clients. Also come off the back of a friend of mine I'll come on to that in a sec. Morning. When you ask your builders, trades for prices, there is an expectation from you as the client, from the investor or the homeowner, of what is included. There is also usually a different expectation from the builder, tradesman, contractor of what is included. And somewhere in the middle is where the argument sits. I was chatting to a pal of mine that's just done an extension in Lincoln City Centre. I don't even know how he's managed to do that with how built up Lincoln City Centre is, but he has. So this extension in Lincoln, this guy's done an extension for a customer. Obviously when you do an extension, there's footings to dig, there's the ground around the building that you are erecting to disturb. So the guy's built this extension and he's backfilled the footings with topsoil, with the soil, and then seeded it, as you would. Client's kicking off to fuck that it's just like what he sees, his perception of what he sees is a load of mud around his new building. Builder sees he's made good and seeded it, which is what he would do because that's what he deems to be included. But the client deems the inclusion is something different, maybe decking, patio, whatever he deems. But he's kicking off that this guy hasn't finished and therefore withheld his final payment until he's sorted this out, as he put it. So he's in a bit of a sticky situation. Morning. Bit of a sticky situation with how he resolves this thing. Now, this is going to be sorted just through conversation eventually, I guess. I hope it does anyway. I hope the guy gets paid because he's done a decent job and the extension's fucking mint. It's just that the expectations here of the client have not been met. Now we get around this. I say we get around it. We cover this off in that initial inquiry that we asked to be priced up. When a builder, or tradesman, contractor, whatever terminology you want to use, when they are pricing up work, they price up what's been asked to price up. And anything outside of that is extra in their mind. So the key to avoid these extras, if you like, is to make sure everything that you expect is on that inquiry when you send it out. So in that example with the extension, we're going to say extension with the underpinning specification for the extension, but anything else outside of the actual building that you deem to be included and you want to be done, it needs to go on that inquiry. And yes, your price is going to go up, but it's better that your price goes up at the initial stage than it becomes an extra. Extras are always more expensive. There's a reason for that, but I won't go into that. But if you ask for it to be included in the start, A, it's not going to bite you. You know it's there, you can budget for it, you know that's what you're going to get, etc, etc. All geared around that initial inquiry, that initial specification that you're putting across to clients, to contractors to price up for you.